Last night we talked about a God of deliverance, a rescuer God. For there is only one God and one mediator between God and men, the man Christ Jesus, who gave himself as a ransom for all men, the testimony given in its proper time. One version of the Bible actually says that Jesus freely gave his life to purchase men for God. I think I almost like that one better. But as a mediator, that meant Jesus got to write the contract. What the Bible calls a covenant. The deal, if you will, between God and sinners. He was the one who paid the price. He was the one who purchased us for God. So he got to write out the terms of the deal. If you go to the car dealership, there's all the paperwork and you have to sign on the bottom line. He signed with his blood on the cross. But he also got to write the terms of all the paperwork. Now he does ask something of us. Faith of a mustard seed. That's it. The rest of the contract is completely one-sided and amazing. It's the most amazing, most lopsided contract, deal, covenant in the history of everything, and it's all in our favor. Jesus says, faith of a mustard seed. What does that even mean, right? I mean, what does faith of a mustard seed, what does that mean? What does it look like? Mustard seed is small. Another word for faith is trust. When I came home from Iraq, summer of 2009, I was broken. I was curled up in the fetal position, sitting in my garage between a motorcycle on my right and some boxes on my left. Weeping. Just weeping. I couldn't even see. I was just weeping. My marriage was falling apart. Because my wife didn't know who I was. Didn't know how to help. I've been gone for a year. My four boys they were excited their dad was home. They wanted their dad back. But I didn't. For the last year, every child I had been around had literally either died in my arms or I had to send them back to the appalling, horrible, literal war zone that had destroyed their bodies to begin with. I didn't know how to drive anymore. Everywhere I went, I saw roadside bombs. I didn't know how to go anywhere by myself. I didn't know how to go anywhere without a gun. I didn't know how to live. The world world's telling me, great, get back to normal. Normal for me is 130 degrees, camel spiders, scorpions, IEDs, rocket attacks, mortar attacks, dying babies. I lost 7 friends in one day. What is normal? I don't know who I am. I don't know who God is. I don't know where God is. I'm bawling in my garage. Lord, find me because I can't find you. And he says, trust me. Just trust me today. Just today. Not tomorrow. Just today. I don't know, God. It might just be easier to put a gun in my mouth. Just trust me. Don't do that to your boys. Trust me. Just today. But what if they can't forgive me? Because I keep pushing them away. I forgive you. But Lord, what if my wife can't forgive me? Because I'm not who I was when I left. I forgive you. What if she can never love me again? I love you. But Lord, what if she can't forgive me for the secrets I have to keep because of what I've done? Or what if she can't forgive me for what I've done? I forgive you. Just trust me. Just trust me right now. Just today. Just today. Just right now. That's faith of a mustard seed. You don't have to trust God for the rest of your life when you meet Him. You just have to trust Him right now. That's why Jesus says, pick up your cross daily and follow me. Because it's trust me daily. Trust me tomorrow when we get there. Trust me today and I won't lead you astray. Trust me today. That's all I'm asking. And if today's too much, just trust me right now. Trust me for an hour. Trust me for a minute. Put down the bottle, put down the drugs, put down the pull tabs, put down the knife, the gun. Open your fist. Don't hit your child. Go home. Whatever it is, trust me right now. The amazing thing about God is He wrote down the entire contract. A long, long time before He went to the cross. Because I'm pretty sure the 23rd Psalm is the contract. Like a lot of the great passages of the Bible, we overlook them because we look at them too much. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not be in want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He restores my soul. He guides me in paths of righteousness for His name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. my cup overflows. Surely goodness and love will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. If we look at the 23rd Psalm, we see the contract laid out. It begins when we meet Jesus. At that lowest point, at that brokenness, in the gutter, sometimes literally, sometimes figuratively. When we need Him the most, we turn and we see He's already there. And if we trust Him that little bit, if we accept Him into our lives, we receive the forgiveness of sin, a clean slate. But that's just to build on. My father-in-law does concrete work. Before you can put in the foundation of a house or a pad to build a garage on, you first have to clear away everything that used to be there. Forgiveness of sin has two purposes. Washes away everything that separates us from God so that we can now have a relationship with Him. And so that He can now build something new. It's a starting point, not an ending point. And if we continue to trust Him, Matthew 6 says, seek first His kingdom and He will provide for us. So what does it mean to seek His kingdom? What does it mean to seek righteousness? Well, left to our own devices, we don't seek righteousness. That's how we got into this mess. Left to our own devices, we seek the things that ruined our life in the beginning. Drugs, alcohol, adultery, internet pornography, whatever it happens to be. Lies, cheating. That's the things that ruined our life. Once we have a clean slate, once we've chosen to trust Jesus that first day, the next day Jesus comes to us and says, okay, are you going to trust me today? Are you going to pick me who picked you up out of the gutter yesterday? You going to pick me? Or are you going to pick what ruined your life yesterday? And the day before, and the day before, and the day before? Which are you going to pick? He gives us a choice. He doesn't say it's going to be an easy choice. Which are we going to choose? What ruined our life before Jesus or Jesus? If we pick Jesus, there's a new part of the contract that opens up. Because that's when we are laid down in green pastures. A shepherd brings his sheep to green pastures to fatten them up. You bring sheep to green pastures so their wool becomes better. They become healthier. Well, that is where we learn from Jesus. Romans 12:2 says, do not conform any longer to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, His good, pleasing, and perfect will. If we continue to choose Jesus over what ruined our life, Jesus will transform our mind. He will teach us what He wants. He will teach us how to see the things that are ruining our lives that we brought with us. It's not instantaneous. He might deliver us instantly from certain things. He might deliver you instantly from alcohol, cigarettes, drug addiction. He might not. He might have a plan for you that takes a journey to get there. He might heal you instantaneously from a crippling, debilitating disease. He might not. There might be something He's going to use that for, but if you keep picking Jesus, He will transform your life. Because He leads us down paths of righteousness for His name. The flaw of a handheld microphone in a Bible. Just get rid of the handheld microphone. Keep the Bible. All right. Next passage is Colossians 3. Put to death, therefore, whatever belongs to your earthly nature: sexual immorality, impurity, lust, evil desires, and greed, which is idolatry. Because of these, the wrath of God is coming. You used to walk in these ways. In the life you once lived. But now you must rid yourselves of all such things as these: anger, rage, malice, slander, and filthy language from your mouth. Do not lie to each other, since you have taken off your old self, and with its practices, and have put on a new self, which is being renewed in knowledge and in the image of its Creator. Here there is no Greek or Jew, circumcised or uncircumcised, barbarian, Scythian, slave free, but Christ is all and is in all. What Paul is saying is there is a new life, a new heart, a new inner being. And it's being made in the image of the only one who can create anything, and that is Jesus. Jesus created everything. First chapter of John tells us that. There is nothing that has been created that He did not create. He created everything. Through Him, everything has been created. A new life in His image. A new life that learns to think like Jesus, that learns to love like Jesus. What happens if we learn to love like Jesus? We don't lie. We don't steal. We don't cheat. We don't have idolatry. We don't have other gods before the one true God. Suddenly, the things that destroyed our life before Jesus aren't even in the picture. And the Ten Commandments, we're not even near those and they're not laws, they're not outside things, because we want to do for our neighbors. We see someone without a coat and we only have one coat, we're trying to figure out how we can give them our one coat. It's not even a matter of if I have two coats, because that one, well, I already gave that one to someone else who didn't have a coat. Because if we learn to love like Jesus, that fulfills the law. There's suddenly holiness and righteousness that came from the inside. and flowed out. We're living a righteous life, but it's not anything we did. All we did was mustard seed. We trusted for a minute. We just said, okay. In our lowest moment, trust you. I'll trust you, Jesus. And the next morning, I'll trust you. And the next morning, I'll trust you. And the next morning, I'll trust you. I'll trust you. I'll trust you. And pretty soon, we've been sitting at the feet of the Master. We've learned His ways, His teachings. We've learned to love our neighbors. We've learned to love God. We've learned to love His Word. We've learned a passion for prayer and for praise. And now He says, now you and I are going to go out to the valley of the shadow of death. And we're going to go help somebody else who's at that moment in time where you were when I found you. Because He doesn't just come to help you, He comes to help you get on your feet so you can go help someone else in His name. Matthew 28. The Great Commission, as they call it. Some people think of it as overwhelming. I think of it as humongously comforting. Then the 11 disciples went to Galilee, to the mountain where Jesus had told them to go. When they saw Him, they worshipped Him. But some doubted. Then Jesus came to them and said, all authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. There, go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and the Son and of the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you. And surely I am with you always to the very end of the age. 23rd Psalm is the contract. Even though I go through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall not fear because you are with me. Jesus is saying, now you've learned from me. You've been strengthened. You're on your feet. I've got work for you to do. But don't worry. Just like the children coming out of Egypt, I will be with you. I will never abandon you. I will never forsake you. I will never be apart from you. Even to the end of the age. So, I feel like I'm trying to sell you on a pyramid scheme here. But there's more. There's more to the contract. Because now we go out and we have purpose. And we're with Jesus to the end of the age. And then there's the end of the age. And that's one of those things that divides churches. And we get into a whole lot of conversation about it. I don't want to talk about all the things that divide churches. I want to talk about Revelations 21 for a minute. Then I saw a new heaven and a new earth, For the first heaven and the first earth had passed away, and there was no longer any sea. I saw a holy city, the New Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride, beautifully dressed for her husband. And I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, "Now the dwelling of God is with men, and he will live with them, and they will be his people. And God himself will be with them, and be their God. And he will wipe every tear from their eyes, and there will be no more death, or mourning, or crying, or pain, for the old order of things has passed away." We can argue how the end times is going to go, this or that, but you know how it ends? God is actually going to remake heaven and earth. Do you want to know why? Because it's not good enough for you. This earth has been touched by sin, and you're his child. So for God to live for eternity with his child, oh, that's not good enough. We got to get rid of the old one that's been touched by sin, remake a new one. Remake a new heaven while we're at it. Make it better. And then there's a new Jerusalem coming down. Because the old Jerusalem isn't good enough for his children. The streets will be paved with gold. Now, 24 karat gold here on this earth is said to be pure, but it's not actually pure. It's only 99.999% pure. There's still some impurities we can't get out of gold. The streets of the New Jerusalem will be paved in gold so pure it's said to be pure as glass. Not that it's going to be clear, but those impurities we can't get out will be gone. It will be more pure than 24 karat gold. Why? Because 24 karat gold just isn't good enough for God's children. A bunch of sinners. Talk about stuff that doesn't make sense. Because love doesn't make sense. It's all for love. It's all about love. It doesn't need to make sense. That's how much he loves us. He wrote a contract where we show up with, okay, I'll trust you. When we have nothing to give. And we can't help ourselves. And he says, I'm going to give you everything you need. And then I'm going to teach you more than you could ever know on your own. And then I'm going to give you purpose. Oh, and I'm going to enable you to do that. And then when your purpose is done, I will bring you up to wait with me. Unless you're still here when I return. And then I'm going to remake the earth, I'm going to remake heaven, and I'm going to bring a town down so we can live together. And it's going to be more awesome than anything that's here right now where you're living. And all I need to bring is faith. Yes! That doesn't seem fair. I know, it's fine! But that's the deal. It seems unbelievable because it is unbelievable. But it's true. It might seem unbelievable, but it's true. But that's the God we serve. When I was in Iraq, I've seen miracles. When we were doing ministry on the street, I've seen miracles. Miracles are unbelievable. And when you've seen them with your own eyes, you say, that is unbelievable. And then the person who was completely crippled yesterday runs off in tennis shoes. You go, but it's true. Or you're sitting in an airplane and there's holes in the roof, holes in your seat, holes in the floor, and there's no holes in you, and you go, well, yep, that just happened. And the other 5 guys in the airplane go, yeah, that's on fire now. We should stand over here. And you say, yeah. Marshmallows anyone? No. But that's the God we worship. The unbelievable but true God. And that's what makes him worthy of praise and worthy of worship. Because he is a God who says, I'm giving it to you anyway. Because I just love you, and I don't care that you can't pay me back.